Glad to be at church this morning. Little windy out there. Sorry about the delay. I preached a little long in the last service, so if some of you had problems getting in, that's my fault. So if you flipped anybody off in the parking lot, it's my fault, all right? And don't do that again, all right? But we're so glad that you're here this morning. So glad that you've decided to come and give the Lord just an hour or so of your time. I'm excited to be back. 2 weeks ago, didn't Miss Kim do a fantastic job bringing the word? And then Pastor Aaron last week closing out our series, and just a great job. Give our team here at Real Life Church a hand if you would. They've all done such a good job, and I'm thankful for times like this. I had a birthday last week. I turned the big 50, and I know I don't look a day over 24, but that's okay. We wasn't really planning last week, or I wasn't. And Jennifer came to me and said, "Hey, what do you want to do for your birthday?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I don't need to do anything. I've got what I want. My family's good. My church is good. I'm good. I don't need anything." She's like, "Well, I wanted to do something with you for your birthday, but you scheduled Kim to preach this week and you to preach next Sunday." And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "So do you want to do something for your birthday?" And I asked, "Well," I said, "what did you have in mind?" And she told me, and I said, "Yes." So I called Aaron, and he jumped in at the last minute and did a great job for me last week. And so it's good. I jokingly told her, I said, "Well, the reality is I probably got more behind me than I got in front of me." And she's like, "We're not going to talk about that right now." But I don't know that I feel a day over 49. And so I've seen somebody this week said, "Hey, 50's the new 30. That's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie. Because my body doesn't feel 30, and I remember what 30 felt like. So, but I'm glad you're here today. We kick off a brand new series called Fundamentals, and you're going to probably see this title for a series come up a couple more times this year. It may not be a basketball theme. We kind of like Aaron said, we went that route with the whole March Madness stuff coming up. But there's a reality to some fundamentals that people miss. And especially in the church context, we Christians are really bad about assuming everyone knows what we're talking about. And we'll say things like salvation. And people don't know what that means other than they've heard it for generations and generations to be saved. You need to be saved. And people go, "Saved from what? To what? What? I don't even know." You need to be redeemed. Really don't know what that means. Sanctified, justified, born again. And if you get a real country church, somebody there is going to be born again with a D at the end of born again. And so we end up hearing these phrases, and a lot of times because, if I ask and say, "Hey, if you're here this morning," you say, "Hey, I grew up around church. I've been around church most of my whole life." If that's you this morning, raise your hand. Okay? If you say, "Hey, Pastor Vince, I really wasn't around church or in church much in my life. It's just been the last, maybe 5-10 years or so." If that's you, raise your hand. Okay, a lot more in this service. So that's the reality of the culture we live in. So you can pretty much assume that about every other person you run into doesn't understand your Christian words. They don't understand you talking about being redeemed and having redemption. And honestly, it can be a little weird. Churches use some weird wording. We've tried to stop our staff from using the phrase, "we just want to love on people." Well, because you can't say that in any other job. All right? I mean, imagine being a construction worker and just going, "You know what, I just want to love on one of these framers today. When that electrician gets here, I'm just going to love on him today." Yeah, no. It's weird. Stop it. Okay? And I know we're Christians, we're supposed to love each other, but loving on each other's different. Would you agree? Okay, so Christians, stop being cringy with your words, all right? We get it. You like people. You should like people. You should love people. Just don't love on them. All right? So we joke about things like that, but the reality is the world just doesn't get it. In fact, if you talk to somebody that doesn't get it and you come and share with them like, "Hey," and you want to present Christ to them and you say something very clear, very theologically sound and say, "Hey, have you accepted the sacrificial blood of Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior?" And they don't know. You're weird. That's what it's going to be. Like, It's weird. It has to be explained. And what I'm finding out more and more is that if we don't figure out the beginning or go back to the beginning, and we just try to take what we know now and make it make sense with the world around us, it ain't gonna make sense. And so we got to go back. And so we're going to do this. This series, the fundamental of this series is one topic, and it's salvation. And so today, you're going to see me probably go to my notes a lot more than you're used to seeing me go to my notes, but it's because there is so much groundwork that I need to lay today that's going to end up building in the weeks to come. So make a commitment now. Come back next week. Come back the following weeks, all the way through Easter. Okay, this sermon is going to culminate on Easter with the Way, and I can't wait to preach that Sunday. I missed last Easter with a big old neck brace on, and so I can't wait. I may preach for 2 days on Easter, so come for one of the services. I don't know when the second one's going to start. But as we get into this, so let's take it back to where it all started. Let's talk about this idea of salvation, because wouldn't you agree? Most people, if they knew about it, they'd want to be saved. Like if I said, "Hey, I want to offer you peace. I want you to have purpose in your life. I want you to know what it's like to be forgiven." And then the bonus, like, "Hey, by the way, how about this? Heaven or hell?" Like, even if you don't know, you pretty much know, like, you want heaven over hell. Even if you didn't know what either of them meant, and one just sounds better, right? And you're going to run into people that say silly things like, "Well, I guess I'd go to hell because that's where all my friends are." That's not great, okay? And the reason they say things like that is because they don't know. It's not because they actually want to do that. They actually probably don't want to have the conversation, so they're trying to figure out a way to get out of it quick. Or they absolutely have no idea the real depth and devastation that hell is and will be. And so I just thought maybe on this fundamental we go back. And you get into Genesis and you start understanding some things and you start reading some things. And I don't want to clarify it today. When we get into Genesis, there is a scientific element to Genesis that I love, but I'm not preaching that today. So if you want to start arguing about timelines and you want to start arguing about where'd the dinosaurs go, we can have that sermon. It's just not going to be today. Okay? Today I want to go back to Genesis and I want to establish a few things that we find in Genesis, and it's this: origin, identity, authority, and design. That's what you find in Genesis. And if you get locked in on those things, what you're going to find is that it makes sense all the way through the end of Scripture and even into today, if you'll lock in on those few things. Because here's the reality: if you don't understand what was designed, then you won't understand what was damaged. And if you don't understand what was damaged, you'll never appreciate what Jesus did to put it all back together. And so we got to go back to understand what was designed first. And so as we dive into this, I'm going to probably blow through the first point and a half pretty quickly so that we can spend some time on the last one. But the first point is this: that God is before all things. He is before all things. The Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. If you have your Bible, that's where we're going to live today. It's Genesis chapter 1. I'm going to bounce a little bit to Genesis chapter 3, but primarily we're going to be right here in the front of your book. So get to the table of contents, turn 2 more pages because they put that weird blank page in there for some reason, and then you're going to be right there. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, Genesis 1:1. Before there was matter, before there was light, before there was time, there was God. Now, this is really hard for you and I to understand as finite human beings, because the only thing we understand is that something has a beginning and an end. Something had to start somewhere. And everything we know, everything you and I know is like that, except God, who sits outside of that. And because he sits outside of that, it gives him authority. That means God answers to no one. God is, I love this one, and has never been advised by anyone. Now, I got to just ask you, any of y'all like me, where sometimes you're like, "Hey, God, I got an idea." Anybody? Now, I want you to think about this. We're just going to pull back into reality here. Have any of you ever done something ridiculous? Yeah. All right. So, like, I'm thinking about this conversation that I have with the Lord sometimes where I go, hey, God, man, I got an idea. And I feel like God sometimes wants to look at me and go, hey, Vince, I don't know if you remember 1988, but you wore parachute pants. So I'm not sure you should be giving me ideas. I'm not sure you're qualified to give me ideas. I think God looks through my life in an instant and goes, yeah, no, we're not going to do what you want to do here, Vince. Let me come up with it. He's not advised by anyone. Does he hear our prayers? Does he hear your wants, your desires, your wishes? Yes. But I promise you his plan is better than yours, than mine, than any of ours ever could be, because he has our purpose in mind, and he has since time wasn't. And so we go on to this. He's not dependent on anything. That makes God the authority. And if God is the authority, then we have to establish some things pretty quickly. If you establish these things pretty quickly, it changes a lot of stuff. If authority belongs to the one who made it, then that means if God designed life, then he defines life. If God designed marriage, he defines marriage. If God defines humanity, then he defines humanity. And so modern culture says, no, you can define yourself. How many of you grew up playing with toys? How many of you had a bicycle growing up? How many of you ever pretended your bicycle was a motorcycle? Yeah. How many of you are ever confused on whether or not it was really a motorcycle? Okay, so like I knew I had a little brown Huffy with a banana seat on it, okay? That was my first bike that I can remember. Now I got cooler bikes as I got older, but that original one, that brown one, boy, I beat the wheels off that bicycle. And man, I would get on it, and some days it was a motorcycle, some days it was a race car, some days it was a spaceship, but the reality at the end of the day, it was always a bicycle. Any of y'all ever play with Barbies? Yeah. I'm watching. All right. Or G.I. Joes or He-Man. I had some He-Man, and I had Castle Grayskull. I had the whole setup. I was spoiled. Had the whole setup. And never once did I unpack my G.I. Joe, whatever it was, whether I got the Chopper, and I had Duke, and I had Roadblock, and I had all the G.I. Joes. Never once did I open one of those G.I. Joes and go, Tonka truck. Not once. Because I had a Tonka truck. And when I took the Tonka truck out of the box told me that's a Tonka truck. You see, I didn't have any say in it. It came from the designer and the creator as what it was. Well, but sometimes you pretend, yeah. Sometimes I would pretend that G.I. Joe was strolling by the Malibu Dream House, giving Barbie a wink, because Ken's kind of pasty, so like maybe she was needing a guy in uniform. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I never did that. But at no point was there, I could pretend that G.I. Joe could, be a He-Man, but it didn't mean he was. And so long as I can remember that it's me pretending and not reality, I'm okay. Culture is changing that, and culture is going, whatever you think you are, you are. Here's the problem with that. We don't get to change the design or the definition of something we didn't design or originally define. Here's why. You and I can't handle the weight of that. Humans were not built to handle the weight of that definition. We can't. And so when we understand these things and we see that you can't fix your life by redefining the designer. And we go, okay, what does this mean? It just simply means this. If God designed it, then God gets to define it. And if God defines it, then we need to be good with that. And so that's hard in our current culture because we kind of try to take God from this idea of creator and just make him a consultant, where we forget that it's not just God's who I go to with my problems and God's who I go to with my wants and my wishes. He's the God I go to when I'm struggling, and what we do is when we take him from creator to consultant, we lessen him. And that's dangerous ground. Because when we lessen him, we elevate us. And when we elevate us, we're not built to carry the weight. I'm not built to carry the weight of creation and all that it has in it. I'm not built to carry the weight of the emotional, mental, spiritual, and physical things that God created. I can't do that. I'll mess that up. Remember about the parachute pants? No, I don't need to carry this weight. You don't need to carry this weight. God has already done it. And so, if we believe and if we can trust, first and foremost, that God was before everything, and created everything, then we got to keep reading and understand what he created. And what God created was good. It was good. Creation was good. If you're in Genesis chapter 1, I don't even have to read all the verses. I can read out of verse 10 out of chapter 1, and it says this: and God saw that it was good. It's in there multiple times. God created light, good. Land, good. Sea, good. Plants, good. Animals, good. Then he got to us. Very good. Now, I don't know which one of us he was looking at. It wasn't any of us, but he looked at Adam and was like, that's very good. Now, we're going to get into why it was very good in just a minute. But he looked at everything else and said, this is good. And it's very intentional. And the intentionality is what I want you to rest on for a second. Because if you see that he created light, and then he created land, and then he created sea, and then he created plants, and then he created animals, it's amazing how the thing that follows it cannot sustain unless the thing before it was created first. Light, land. Sea separated the land from the seas, or the water from the water. You see God do this in Genesis 1. Then plants. Why? Because plants need land, water, and light. Then animals. Why? Because animals need some place to walk, because not all of them swim. So they need land. They need water for something to drink, and they needed plants for something to eat. And the animals wouldn't have made it had the things before it not been created. And then ultimately, us. Us. So he created everything good, and he created everything in order, and yet we live in a world that says everything's so chaotic. And it is chaotic now. I want to show you a picture. I was at a wedding last night, and I got to do this wedding, and I stepped outside of the wedding venue last night, and where it was at, I get to overlook Ray Valley. Okay, so this is at the Elms Barn between Flippin and Yellville. And all of this down in here is called Ray Valley, just dips over that hillside. And it's beautiful. You step out of there, it was about 5:30 last night, or almost 6 o'clock. And man, the sun it hadn't set yet, but it was just so pretty. I just stepped out there and I stopped and I was looking at it, and God, I was going, man, Lord, this is so pretty. Thank you for this day. I love doing weddings because it reminds me of being married to my wife and how good that is. And I get emotional because that's just how I'm wired. And so I'm just thankful, and I walk out and God goes, if you could only seen, that's the broken version, Vince. And I go, yeah, but God, I mean, here in a few weeks, everything that's brown there is going to be exploded with green and bright, different shades of green and colors. And then in a few months, it's going to go from that to reds and yellows and oranges and this beauty. And he's going, yeah, I know. And that's the broken version. The fallen one. I wish you could have seen it before. I wish you could have seen it before. See, some of those trees are dead, and they're not going to make it back. There's animals out there, there's dead ones, and they're not going to make it back. Before, there was not that. There was no death. I wish you could have seen it. And so I think through this idea that God, in his order and his intentionality, we see that it was very good what he did, what he created, and what he made. And so I need you to understand this. That means if God did it that way, that sin is not original. And because of that, brokenness is not natural. Hang on for this one. Disorder is a deviation. It's not designed. This chaos in this world is not what God created. He doesn't function in chaos. He functions in order. The problem is the world has convinced us that he does. And so now you and I try to live, move, and breathe with our anxiety, with our fractured home, with a culture and confusion, with addiction, with relational conflict. And have you all ever fought with somebody that you love deeply? You know, that didn't exist before. Have y'all ever struggled with anxiety, insecurities, all those different things? Weren't there before. I didn't know about them. I knew they were there, but I didn't know about them. Some of y'all heard me tell this story before. When I first started preaching, I didn't have any insecurities. I'm like, woo, this is awesome. And I took this first church in Melbourne, Arkansas, and it was a great little country church. Loved it. We'd go eat at a gas station for Sunday dinner because the Red Mule had the best pizza. And so that's where we would go. And about 3 weeks after I had taken the church, this family in the church goes, hey, Pastor Vince, we'd love to take you and Jennifer out to dinner, you and those sweet little girls. About that time, all we had was Vanessa and Kaylee. And so we go to lunch with the deacon's family and his daughter's there, and we're all sitting there talking, and she goes, you know, I'm just so impressed. And I was like, yeah. And you have to forgive me, I was 25, all right? And she was like, I mean, really, Vince, you get up there and you speak. And with your speech impediment, it's just like it doesn't bother you at all. And I looked at my wife. I said, hey, babe. She's like, yeah. I said, do I have a speech impediment? And she said, well, yeah, it's a little one. Like, I mean, I don't think it's bad, but yeah, it's there. Huh. I didn't know what to say. I was locked up the rest of dinner. I was like, I'm not going to ask for the salt because I might spit. And please, Jesus, don't let me order spaghetti because that could get bad. And so, like, I didn't say anything. So I got home. I was upset, frustrated. I did what every young man does. I called my mom. Mom, yeah. Mom, yeah. How was church? I don't want to talk about it. I have a question. Okay, what? Do I have a speech impediment? Wait. I mean, yeah, a little bit of one. Sometimes you get your S's and you slur a little bit and, you know. Like, at any point in the 25 years that you've known me, did it not pass your mind to go, hey, we could maybe get you some therapy for that speech impediment? Or maybe before I announce my call to public speaking, somebody might have said, hey, you want to make sure there's nobody in the front 3 rows because you're going to soak them by the time the end of the service is over. Now I can go, I don't care if I spit on you or not. So. No, in that moment, like I had never, and this, I don't want this to sound like arrogance. I had never wrestled with an insecurity. I had never wrestled with me having to look at me and going, something's wrong. I lived in a great home that encouraged me. It wasn't perfect, but it was a great home that encouraged me and encouraged us to go into ministry if that's what God was leading us to do. But I'd never had to look at that. I'm thankful for it now because what God taught me in that moment is, hey, actually, Vince, I need you to know something. I never really needed you to rely on you anyway. I was kind of hoping you'd rely on me. And 25 years later, I'm really thankful he did. And I still spit, so I still haven't been able to change it. Here in a moment, I'm going to talk about the serpent. All bets are off for the front row, okay, when I get to that one. But we see this, that in our anxiety and our brokenness, what we do is we begin to listen to the world try to convince us that that's what's normal. Well, that's just how you are. That's how you were made. It's how you were built. It's how you're constructed. You've got these things. You've got these broken things in you. You've got this shame in your life. And I know it wasn't your fault, but it was done to you. So there may have been something that you did. And the enemy whispers those things in our ear and convinces us that this must be how life is. The answer to that is no. No. See, Genesis tells us something different. Here's what Genesis tells us. You were not created for chaos. You were created for wholeness. Genesis tells us you were not designed for shame. You weren't designed for shame. You were designed for glory. But see, something was lost. You say, I don't know, Pastor Vince, I feel ashamed every time I come to church. I'm not sure I even deserve to be here. I'm not sure I belong here. I'm not sure with my life if I should, man, I've done some stuff. Man, I've done some stuff. And I just don't know that I deserve to be here today. Mike, can I borrow you for a second? Do you mind to come up and help me? Come on, Mike. And so I want to clarify this because this happens more times in church than it needs to happen. And preachers, I wish they would fix it, how they communicate it, because sometimes you'll say conviction, but you define it as shame. The Lord's just pressing on you today to get you to understand the sin in your life. And you will press it like that instead of defining shame and conviction. Here's what shame does. Shame says, Mike, you're not there yet. Mike, you're not going to ever be there. Mike, you've got some stuff that you can't fix. That's what shame does. And some of you feel it the moment you step out of your car. That's not God. Conviction goes, come here, draw close to me, and I will draw close to you so that we can handle the sin in your life. We can deal with it, not shame you for it. We can deal with it. Conviction draws you close so that it can be repaired and restored. Shame says, if you don't talk about it, it will go away, and it doesn't. It festers and grows. And so we've got to get back to this understanding of what God has done in our life. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you, buddy. When we begin to wrap our minds around this, that you weren't designed to be pushed away by God. You weren't designed. You were built to be His glory. That's why He said it was very good. It's different. It's different when He says it's very good. It's not the same as the land. It's not the same as the trees. It's not the same as the animals. It's not the same as the sea. It's different. And the reason it's different, we pick up at the end of the chapter in verse 30 or 26. Then God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness. You were made in His image. So I don't even know what that means. I'm about to tell you. You were the crown. You are not just advanced biology from an animal. You are not a cosmic accident. You were never self-invented. You are an image bearer of the Most High God. He keeps going in verse 27. So God created man in His image. In the image of God, He created them, and male and female, He created them. So what does this mean? Are you ready? Because this is going to be really encouraging and convicting here in a minute. You were born, you were created with dignity, worth, moral capacity, relational capacity, creative capacity, spiritual awareness. That's why even people that don't know Jesus walk in this building. I don't know them from Adam. I'll get up here and preach a sermon that I've worked on for 4 months, and they'll walk in the door and go, he's talking right to me. Any of y'all ever experienced that? Where you walk in, you're like, I don't know this dude. How has he crawled right up in my lap today and told me all about my business? Okay? I don't read your mail. I send people to read your, no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. I don't do that. Why? Because in you, within you, at creation, God put a spiritual awareness in you so that you would recognize when the God of all creation begins to chase you down. He put that in you. So what that means, here's where it gets hard, is that the unborn bear His image. The elderly bear His image. The disabled bear His image. The addict bears His image. Here we go. The person who disagrees with you bears the image of God. politically, religion, sins, they bear God's image just like you do. Those people are just wrong. Yep. And so have you been. Those people don't believe like we do. Nope. I didn't say they were right. I just said they bear the same image. I didn't say I agreed with them, but they bear the image of God. If that verse in Genesis chapter 1 is right and real and true, if you're here this morning, you go, I don't know if that's true. That's okay. I just believe it's true. I believe Genesis to the end of Revelation, that it's true. And if it's true, then I'm just going to tell you the church has done a horrible job over the last 500 years of just being image bearers of Christ. And what we've tried to do is we've tried to claim bearing the image of Christ while adding our definitions to it. And when we do that, the reality of salvation gets muddy. It gets muddy. Well, if I'm an image bearer, shouldn't I look like Christ? Hey, there you go. But that seems pretty simple. Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's not easy. Let me clarify. It's not easy, but it is simple. Love one another. Speak truth with grace. That's what he's asked us to do. We were designed to reflect God's holiness, his love, his truth, his justice, his mercy. And then we detach from him and go, well, I just got to be more myself. You don't know yourself. You didn't create yourself. You don't know how to be yourself. But that's what we say, like, I just got to do me. What does that mean? Most people don't know. What they mean is, I just want to be the one that makes the decisions. And again, I'll go back to it. You and I weren't built to make the decisions. We're not strong enough. Our decisions will crush us. I can take you to multiple people in the room right now that will tell you their story, and you'll go, yeah, when I was making the decision, it was destroying me. Anybody relate to that? Yeah. If you saw a hand and didn't raise yours, go find one of them and ask them. They'll tell you, you don't need to hear it from a preacher. When we detach, we don't become more like ourselves. We actually become distorted versions of ourselves. And that's why there's confusion. Identity confusion begins when origin is forgotten. If I forget I was created, I start trying to create myself, and self-creation always leads to instability. Always leads to instability. So what happened? Let me show you this. Genesis chapter 1, Genesis chapter 3. I'm going to give you side by side. In Genesis chapter 1, we have this beautiful picture where God creates everything perfect. There was perfect design in the world. There was perfect relationship between Adam and Eve and between God. God walking in the cool of the evening through the garden with them, just chilling with Adam and Eve. Can you imagine God showing up at sundown at your house going, hey, I'm going to walk around the block. You want to roll? That's what was happening. Adam and Eve never fought. They didn't argue about who took out the trash. They didn't argue about anything. It's perfect harmony, relationship, perfect identity. You go, what does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. They were naked and didn't care. I don't even know how you frolic, but they frolicked in the Garden of Eden naked. And some of you are leaving with an image in church you didn't think you were. But that's what it was, because there was no shame. Perfect order. The light fed the land that grew the plants. The water did what it was supposed to do. The animals did what, it was perfect order. And then chapter 3 shows up. And I want you to know, this was not an attack on, can I make these good people bad? And that's what we tend to think. And that's why I said the church has done a bad job of this. We keep wanting to go, you're bad, the sin, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. And we get people confused, and now they start trying to scale this out and go, well, if I can be more good than I am bad, then I'm okay. That's not what this says. What was broken by sin was this. The relationship with God was immediately severed. Adam, where are you? That's different than what had just happened earlier in the day when they were walking in the garden together. The night before, Adam's walking around naming animals, God laughing at him because he's like, where did you come up with kangaroo? Like, what in the world? Well, that one eat ants. Let's call that one an anteater. Good job, Adam. Okay. And now it's broken. Where are you? Adam, where are you? It severed the relationship with God. It severed the relationship with others. You know this story. Genesis chapter 3, you can read it. That serpent shows up. Adam and Eve are standing there. Serpent goes, you can eat the fruit. No, we're not supposed to eat the fruit. No, he just tells you you can't eat the fruit because then you're going to be like him. He just don't want you to be like him. Oh, that makes sense. They eat the fruit. Then God catches him, comes up to him, and he goes, hey, guys, I found you. What's going on? Oh, Adam goes, this woman that you gave to me, she made me do it. And Eve, standing over here like Spider-Man number 2, goes, that serpent that you created, they did it. God, you created the serpent. The serpent told me, I just listened to the serpent. Adam's standing over there like, you did it. You see how quickly this relationship with others got severed? Sin. There was no blame. You imagine a world with no accusation and no blame? That's what it was. It was perfect relationship with others. And then sin happens and relationship with others gets severed. This perfect identity and your relationship with yourselves, it says immediately after they ate the fruit, they looked and realized that they were naked. Wait, you were just naked 10 minutes ago and you were fine. And now you recognize you're naked, and their first impulse is, I have to cover it. It's not good. It's not good. What happened? We don't get any text where the serpent was like, oh, and by the way, I don't know if you guys know it or not, but you're both naked. You should probably fix that. No. They didn't need it. They didn't need that part, because when sin entered in, shame follows so fast. And shame said, you better cover up. You don't want anybody to see you like that. Don't want anybody to see you like that. I mean, we're not talking to a lot of people by this point. But God said, who told you you were naked? Who told you that part had broken? Why are you covering yourselves? There was, before you didn't look at yourself with fault. Before you didn't look at yourself and feel like it needed to be covered or repaired, or before that's not how you looked at yourself. There was perfect order, there was perfect relationship with yourself, and now there's shame. Now there's brokenness in the relationship. Now there's a brokenness with God. But once the relationship was walking side by side in the garden, and now he's having to ask where I am. And church, I don't know if you realize that he's still asking where some of you are. He's still going, where are you? I don't need a new you. I want the you restored that I created. I want the one I made. The one that in the womb I knew you and had gave you a purpose. I want the one that I have a plan for and a life for, and it is good. I want to restore you to that. You see this in the prodigal son. See, we sometimes get this idea. We're like, no. God, the New Testament tells us, this is God. The New Testament tells us that God makes all things new. That the old man is dead. Behold, all things become new. So we're like, no, God wants a new. No. By time Paul is writing those things, There was no chance we could have remembered what whole felt like. So anything was going to feel new. But let me give you the picture. When the prodigal son comes home and the dad is standing there watching for him. You see him? No. No, maybe tomorrow. And then he comes and he crests that hillside, Larry, it wasn't a new son. It wasn't a different person. It was the son. And you say, well, but the son didn't know he was a son. Exactly. The son was going to come home as a servant. I'll come back as less than. I'll come back as, I don't even care. Just let me come back. And the father goes, no. What you don't understand is if you'll come back, I'll make you a son. I'll restore your sonship. I'll restore this relationship. And it will be as if you never left. The glory you had when you left will be the glory you have when you come back. And some of us, some of you and some of I, we miss this because we keep coming back going, Lord, if you can just make me new, change your prayer. Lord, restore me to what you originally planned. Don't ask God, what do you want me to be? God, ask him, God, what did you create me to be? Because that's in there. That's in there. It's in you. It's so deep in you. And the world has lied to you and said, well, you're too broken, you're too lost, you're too far away, you got too much baggage, you got too much drama, you got too much this, you got too much that. And I'm going to tell you, the same God of creation is still the same God of creation. And he can still take darkness in your life and separate it from the light. He can still take chaos and bring it into form. He can still take that which is broken and make it whole because that's who he is. My question for you today is, are you still bringing up to God all the reasons you can't? Well, he's chasing you down saying, I have something whole for you. I can make you whole. David said this, restore unto me the joy of this salvation. Restore to me the joy of salvation. Your anxiety that you wrestle with, it's about identity. It traces back to forgetting who you were created to be. Your hunger for meaning and purpose traces back to design. You forgot you were built for something more. Your ache to belong traces back to what was lost. You see, early in the garden, we all belonged. Sin broke that. The gospel does not invent a new humanity. It restores the original. But you've got to surrender. You see, you've got to surrender to the designer to be restored to the glory. And some of you know he's been chasing you for a while. He's been chasing you for a while. You come and you show up, and you're like, I'm working on it, Pastor Vince. I know. I'm just telling you, you're not strong enough to work on it. It's not something that you have. This is, when we talked about identity early on in the sermon, I need you to understand something about value. We tend to go like, well, if you'll show me you deserve it, I'll trust you. If you'll earn it, I'll trust you. That's how we're built. It's how the world has made us as humans. God, in regard to humankind, value isn't earned. It's bestowed. He gave it to you. Not because of all the things you did right. Because if you're like me, that's a short list. It was bestowed upon you at a cross that gave you more value than you ever knew that you had. And so today, that same God is chasing you down going, I just want you to come home. I just want you to come experience what it's really like to just follow me, to trust me, to believe in me. So I'm going to ask you to bow with me, church. Some of you have been, like I said, you've been running, you've been trying to work it out, you've been doing your best, but you're tired. And then you stumble, and then the devil tells you, see, I told you you couldn't do it. I told you couldn't make it. I told you you're going to mess it up again. And God's whispering, come on, get up, get up, get up, come home. Come home, I'm waiting. You son, you daughter, I'm waiting. I want to restore it back to you. I want to give you hope. I want to give you peace. I want to give you joy. I want to give you salvation. I want to give you these things, but you keep hearing the other voices louder. If it's you this morning, you say, Pastor Vince, it's me. I'm still wrestling through some stuff, and I keep telling myself, when I get it figured out, when I get my stuff straight, when I quit doing these things, then I'll give it all to God. Then I'm gonna surrender to God. But I got some stuff, Vince, and it's not easy, and I keep tripping over it, I keep stumbling over it, and I'm so tired. I'm so tired. But I don't know what else to do but keep running. And God's going, stop running and just come home. Just come home. I got you. I'll walk you through it. I'll teach you how to follow me. I'll show you how much I love you. If that's you this morning and you want to come to the altar, there's already people down here praying. You come on. Just slide out of your seat right now. Come on. Just come on down and pray and say, God, I've got some things that I'm wrestling through. I've got some brokenness that's in me that I have got to give back to you. I've got some stuff that doesn't make any sense, and I don't know how to wrestle through it. I don't know how to surrender it. But God, I want to give it back. I want to be yours again. I want to be yours again. Guys, salvation is not about taking a bad person and making them good. It's about taking someone who is lost and making them found. And that's what he still does. If it's you today and you're sitting there and you just feel like you're wondering and you're not sure what to do next, today can be the day that you are found and there is purpose and there is a step forward. Come on. Don't sit there. Please don't sit there and try to wrestle through it again. You've done it week after week after week, and you've wrestled through it, and you've tried to make it, and then you come back and you feel the same pulling, the same desire from God going, come home. Come home. If that's you, come on. If that's you, come on. If it's over here, come on. Slide out of your seat. You say, Pastor Vince, I just don't know if I can do it. You're asking me to do a lot by standing up. I don't know if I can do it. All right.
Just did.
All right. Me and you. Every head bowed. Every eye closed. No one looking around. No one looking around. If everything I said defines you, and every part of you is wanting to move, but you just can't right now, I just want you to slip your hand up, and I want you to put it right back down. I want to see it because I want to pray for you. Come on. Put it up where I can see it. I want to pray for you. Yep. Yeah, all over, across the room. I get it. And the enemy is so good at telling you why not. That why not. My prayer for you is that today you'd listen to the voice that says, come home. Today you'd listen to the voice that says, come home. I'm going to ask one more time. I'm sorry, I know we're running long, but I'm going to ask one more time. If you're here today and you want to just come home, would you just slip out of your seat and take one step for me? Just take one. Just take one. I promise you, if you'll take one, Jesus will help you take the next one. I know that sounds ridiculous. That sounds like preacher talk, but I promise you, if you'll take just one, you'll take the next one with you. Father, I pray for those that have come to the altar to pray. And they've come surrendering. God, I pray that's what they've come to do, is surrender. But God, I lift up those that are in their seats right now, those hands that went up all across the room. Then I pray, God, that you, Father, would do what only you can do and break their hearts to surrender, to give themselves to you, to trust you, to believe in you, to know that you have their best in mind. and you would move them to have a conversation, God, that they would fill out a card and let us know, hey, today I need to talk to somebody about Jesus. I need prayer. I need somebody to call me. I need something. I need to talk to somebody about just Jesus. God, let them reach out somehow. God, give them the boldness to reach out somehow and not just take another week to fight through it. I pray for your grace. I pray for your mercy. And God, I pray for more opportunities. Give us the opportunity to share Jesus as often as we can. And we will forever give you the glory because you are worthy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen. And guys, hey, there's still some folks praying. So I'm gonna ask you to be mindful of that. Give them just, if you could, when you leave today, be still as you leave. They're praying. They're working things out with God. If you're here this morning, you need somebody to talk to, come find somebody on the team. Fill out a card, drop it in that bucket. Let us know. We'd love to talk to you more about this Jesus and how much he loves you. Real Life Church, don't miss next Sunday. It's going to be great. God bless you. I love you. We'll see you.